Good afternoon and welcome to Cobalt's webinar, Improving Efficiency by Bringing the AMS to Your Staff. Looks like we have a pretty good turnout for today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Chris Capistran, Cobalt's president. Today we're going to focus on a few ways you can meet your staff where they work to increase both staff efficiency and member engagement. I've got Annie Hall here with me today, and Annie's going to help me drive the demo and moderate any questions you might have. For the presentation, we're going to keep everyone on mute, but you can ask questions in the chat, and I'll circle back at the end. I think we'll have plenty of time to get to everyone's questions. Okay, so now that we've covered all the administrative items, let's go ahead and get rolling. As we all know, every association has different types of users. You've got system administrators that focus on setup, configuration, and maintenance of the system. You have power users that eat, sleep, and breathe, and if they're like me, dream about their AMS. You've got membership, event, and accounting staff that rely on the system to do their jobs on a day-to-day basis. All of these users are generally well-trained and spend a lot of time inside the system. But in a lot of organizations, this makes up less than half of the total staff. Executives, administrative staff, other areas like government affairs with their own systems might not interact with the AMS or CRM much, if at all. This is likely even more true in 2020 as we all adapt to remote working and new technologies that come along with it. But many of these staff members interact with members on a regular basis. So providing them with easy access to your AMS and linking their interaction back to the overall goals of the organization could be hugely beneficial. In today's session, we're going to discuss and demonstrate how we can leverage familiar tools to meet your staff where they work. This will result in an increase in staff and member engagement as well as satisfaction. Two of the most common complaints that we hear when talking to prospective customers is that their current system is too difficult to use and that most staff never log in. By making it easier for staff to get stuff done in the system, you'll get more out of your investment and staff will be much happier. So now we're going to switch over to our demo system. As we switched over here, you're going to notice that we're inside of Microsoft Outlook. So the obvious question you might be asking yourself is, I thought this was an AMS demo. Don't worry, you're in the right place, but this is exactly what I was talking about a few minutes ago. One of the main benefits of Cobalt Membership Dynamics is that it's built on top of Microsoft Dynamics 365, which is Microsoft's customer relationship management or CRM offering. A major benefit of a Dynamics-based AMS is that it's extremely tightly integrated with other parts of the Microsoft ecosystem. One of these native integrations is with Microsoft Outlook. For anyone using Office, Outlook is probably where you spend a good chunk of your day when you're not in Zoom meetings or Teams meetings or whichever online collaboration tool that you're using. So what we're going to show now is how a staff member that traditionally doesn't spend a lot of time inside of the organization's AMS can both access the data in the system and contribute to the overall goal of improving member engagement. Again, we're looking to meet people where they're already working, so they don't have to go out of their way to interact with your AMS. By the way, you're going to hear me use the terms CRM and AMS interchangeably as we walk through things today, so please bear with me. I use these terms all the time. I think that AMS and CRM go hand in hand because customer relationship management, association management, member management, they're all interchangeable. So let's set up the first scenario. I work in the government affairs department and interact with members on a daily basis as we work together to track legislation and coordinate grassroots efforts. This is actually not a big stretch for me because I started my career actually working in a government affairs department at a national trade association. That was a long time ago, but we did have an AMS. In this case, the person I'm role playing doesn't even know what AMS the organization uses. And that's because I haven't really had to log into the system since we went through our training a few years ago. I'm emailing back and forth with Bobby, who's a key constituent, and he's working with me to coordinate some lobbying efforts around a specific piece of legislation. I have a really tight relationship with Bobby, and lately we've been interacting on almost a daily basis. Additionally, my association is currently putting on a big push for attendance to our upcoming virtual conference, and I've asked all staff to do what they can to drive attendance when talking to members. Let's take a look and see how Outlook can help me out with that. So as you can see here, I'm just in my regular email that I received from Bobby, and now we've got this new pane on the side for Dynamics 365. So because Bobby is already inside of our CRM, I can get a quick view of his record right inside of Outlook while I'm looking at his email. This allows me to see his membership information as well as all of his class and meeting registrations. As an aside, another great feature of this integration is that you can tailor it to be specific to the different type of staff person or role that they play. So this means that accounting staff might be able to see open invoices along with order and payment history, while membership staff might see membership and committee details. It's a small feature of the system, but it really makes a big difference when it comes to user adoption. The more it feels like the software is aligned with an individual's needs, the more likely it is for them to embrace the technology. So as I'm looking at Bobby's record, I can see that he hasn't registered yet for the upcoming virtual annual conference. I also remember that earlier this week at our all hands staff meeting, the events team reinforced the push for attendees and showed everyone a quick way to send reminders to members. Being a good company man, I decided to include this in my response to Bobby. So as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and reply to Bobby's email, and I've got my Dynamics tab back here on the side, and I've got some contextual menus here that allow me to access additional information. One of those allows me to insert different documents or templates into my responses. So in this case, we're actually going to go look for a pre-built template around promoting the annual conference, but you could also have different documents or other procedures or things like that that are just readily available for your staff to quickly access and respond back to members. So if somebody has a frequently asked question and you've got a PDF that answers that question of the person, you can actually just grab that in the same manner and send it back as part of an email response. But because Bobby and I already have a relationship, I can now put this inside of my email, and I can actually customize my response back to Bobby. It makes it more personal and meaningful because it's coming from me. So you could do this with a variety of messages, dues renewal reminders, other calls to action. But one of the best things about this is the experts in the specific area are writing the text, including all the appropriate links and all of those things. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the personal communication from the person that they have the relationship with, but you also get the correct content, so you're not leaving it up to a staff person who doesn't know the event stuff inside and out and make them responsible for sending that messaging. So another benefit of this is that when I'm sending these emails back out, it actually is now tracking that correspondence back inside of the AMS. So now you've got all of your communication stored back in a centralized place. The event staff could now even see that I'm helping out the cause by sending this email, and they could even then follow up on my message because it's stored centrally inside of the CRM. So as we started the conversation at the beginning, allowing staff that otherwise wouldn't interact with your AMS to have access to these tools is hugely beneficial. This conversation between Bobby and I would have taken place outside of the system, and the organization would not be aware of his engagement with me on these issues. Tracking these emails now makes that possible. Additionally, I was quickly and easily able to assist in marketing a key event and potentially driving additional revenue for the organization. So this really shows that the use of the Dynamics 365 platform and its tight integration with Office makes this all possible and is the reason why our system is built on top of that platform. So pretty cool. And a lot of our clients kind of live inside of this on a day-to-day basis and finally find it hugely beneficial. So now we're going to take a look at the second scenario that we're going to go through today, also focused on meeting people where they work. And in this scenario, we're looking at a membership application. This is the staff interface of the AMS. So this is a membership application that has been submitted. And in this scenario, the CEO is required to approve all organizational membership applications. So when we first implemented this new AMS, there was a queue that was set up that shows all the applications that needed approval, but the CEO doesn't have time to log into the system every day and check for pending applications. So what the result of this was, applications would sit for several days waiting to be approved. This would cause frustration for the new members because these organizations were really eager to have their applications approved so they could take advantage of member pricing, directory access, and the other benefits that come along with membership. Organizations have reported feeling frustrated about the time it takes for their application to get approved, and this is putting a lot of stress on the membership staff. Additionally, the CEO is frustrated by having to log into the system every day to do this task. So this is a really great opportunity to meet the CEO where she works. So in your current system, it's possible that you have the ability to automate processes and send out notifications using a workflow engine of some type. But Cobalt's system has the same capabilities, but we've got another option that really takes that to the next level. Today, we're going to look at what we call approval flows. This is actually quickly becoming one of my favorite features in the system, as one of the main reasons I wanted to do this webinar. So in a more traditional workflow engine, you might be able to set up a workflow that would alert the CEO of a submitted application that needed approval, but the CEO would still need to then log into the system and approve the application. You might actually have something similar already in place today. Of course, this is better than asking her to log in daily to check for the applications, especially if you only get 1 or 2 or 3 per week, but we're really not meeting her where she works. So before I spoil the entire story, let's take a look at the solution and how we made this experience much easier and more enjoyable. So again, we're back inside here, inside of a typical membership application record. You can see that we've got a requirements section here on our form. And this is Cobalt's requirement engine that allows you to set up requirements that need to be completed before an application is approved. In most cases, dues and/or membership application fee need to be paid. And you'll see that we have our order paid requirement there that's already been completed. But you can actually have a whole slew of other requirements and types of requirements that could be added to this. You could have people need to provide documentation to prove eligibility for a specific member type, or in our case, a manual review by staff in order to make sure everything's in order before approving the application. So as we can see here, the order has been paid already, and so the only remaining requirement that we have here is the CEO approval requirement, which is currently in a pending status, and we're going to show you a really cool way to handle that. So we're going to switch back over to our familiar friend, which is Microsoft Outlook. And we're going to see that we've just received an email after submitting that application or after that first requirement was met, that there's a pending application awaiting my approval. So you can see in this email, we were able to set it up. It's pulling in the name of the account, and it's pulling in all of the application details right inside the body of the email. But the real magic is what we see at the bottom. And this is the ability to do what we call it's an approval flow. And so what this does is it allows the person who's in charge of approving this to simply click the approved button inside of their email. And what that's going to do is signal back to the system that this application has now been approved. So we're going to go ahead and click the approve button. You'll see you can also set it up to require comments. That's typically used if you're rejecting an application. So we're going to go ahead and leave that out and go ahead and approve it. You actually get a confirmation right inside of the email that shows you that the approval has actually gone through. And now we've taken this tedious and frustrating process and made it simple and enjoyable. So, we wanted to use this as an example. We understand this might not match exactly how your organization processes membership applications, but hopefully you can see the possibilities here. We can leverage these approval for any process in the system, and you can even set up processes that have multiple steps for approvals. Even better, you can leverage this to create processes that are things that you wouldn't even consider to be traditionally linked to your AMS. Because Dynamics 365 is so extensible, you could leverage this to manage employee time off requests or expense reimbursements. The possibilities are truly endless. So as I was talking there, Annie switched back over to our admin interface, and this is Power Automate. So this is part of, along with Dynamics 365, is part of what we call the larger Microsoft Power Platform. Cobalt is constantly working to leverage all the tools included in the Power Platform to provide the best solution to our customers, and that's why it's great that our AMS is so tightly integrated with this. Power Automate allows you to automate processes like the one we demonstrated today. Now I know when you first look at this, this might look a little bit scary and technical, but it truly is mostly drag and drop, and it's targeted at business users. The key part here is that this really allows Cobalt and our customers to create relatively complex processes without writing any custom code. In addition to the more traditional automation like updating of data, sending notifications, etc., Power Automate also comes with hundreds of connectors to facilitate different integrations. These can include sending text messages, pulling information off of social media. There's a huge number of connections out there, and it keeps growing every day, every hour. And in fact, one of our customers actually built their own integration with their learning management system using Power Automate. No code, no assistance from Cobalt. It really is that powerful. So, okay, let's go back and take a look at what happens now that we've approved that application. So we're back inside of the CRM system. The approval process has run, and now you can see that the requirement has been completed and the application is good to go. We could have extended this and had it gone even further to include an email that went out to the new member, or we could have this kick off another process for a member welcome campaign or a notification to staff to reach out to the member as well. So again, the possibilities are really endless there on how you integrate that automation and workflow. So again, I just want to go back and kind of drive home the point here of we're meeting the people where they work. We're making their lives easier. We're improving their overall experience with the system so people are happier with the system, and they go ahead and truly adopt and use your system. So again, really want to drive that home. It's about being more efficient and happier. That actually does matter when people are using software. People are more happier with the software. You're going to have better adoption, and you're going to get more out of your technology investment. You know, we really believe that your AMS or CRM should really make your staff lives more easier, not more difficult. And so that's one of the big things that we like to bring to the table. And we think that some of the technologies we've shown you today, and in a modern workplace, getting to where people can be more efficient and work and meet them where they work is really important. So that's all I have in terms of demo functionality for today. I'm going to take a quick pause and check with Annie to see if we have any questions that came in through the chat. It looks like we have a couple, Annie. What do we have there?
We do. Okay, so this first question, do you need to install anything on staff's individual computers to take advantage of the Outlook features you've shown today?
So that's a great question. So previously, many years ago, I would have answered yes to this. There was a specific add-in that you had to install alongside Outlook to make this happen. The good news is you don't need to do that anymore. Microsoft has adopted what it calls the unified client interface. And what the goal there was, as we saw with that data side by side in Outlook, is that it's a unified interface across the browser, your mobile device, and Outlook. So that is all web-based, and it's all enabled through Office 365. And so there's nothing that you have to install on the end user's computer, and they get the same experience whether they're inside the main staff, web browser interface, if they're inside Outlook or if they're on their mobile device. So this makes it easier for IT staff to manage. It also makes it easier for end users because they don't have to troubleshoot or deal with a third-party add-in. I'll also point out that this works inside both the desktop client of Outlook and the browser client, and it also works across PC or Windows and Mac PCs. So hopefully that answers the question.
Perfect. And there's one more. Is it really possible for non-technical users to create the automation that you showed?
Yes. I will also give the answer, it all depends. The system is built for what Microsoft and what people are now calling citizen developers. We use terms like no code or low code. So again, does it help to be technically inclined and curious? Absolutely. But I find that if people can use the standard, applications they're using in their web browsers today to create queries and things like that, or anyone who's capable of doing a word merge or a formula inside of Excel can build these automations. That said, the more technically inclined you are and the more eager you are to learn, the more powerful the tool can be. So there's really a sliding scale there. So business users can get, I believe, a lot out of the system. I used that example of our one customer who built the integration with their LMS. That was done mostly by non-technical staff, so which is pretty amazing. And so I don't really, the term non-technical I think is becoming a little bit of a misnomer, because I think that everybody in their jobs today, no matter what your role is, technology has become such a key part of that. And I think people don't always give themselves enough credit. Everyone today, in my opinion, is a technical user. You can't function in your job without having some sort of technical aptitude. So I would say absolutely yes. And Microsoft continues to make it easier and easier as it goes on.
Perfect.
Was that the last question,
Annie? That is it. Yep.
Okay. Well, great. I appreciate everybody attending today. Thank you very much. We're going to have some additional webinars. We're doing this at least once a month, where we're diving into a new technology or theme. Sneak peek, next month we're going to be continuing along with meeting people really where they work and kind of shifting our focus to members and how they can work and interact with your organization through Microsoft Teams. So that one's going to be really exciting. In the meantime, of course, if you want to learn anything else about Cobalt, please go ahead and shoot us an email. Pretty simple, sales@cobalt.net, and we'll have somebody follow up with you to answer your questions and potentially set up a product showcase. So yeah, again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris.